Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the universe. What's going on, brother?
The world, bro. The world.
We may have to go into red alert, brother.
Huh. I don't know. I don't know. Um, what? But tell me why are you saying that?
Did you get a text message from some anonymous racist?
No.
It's this app called Text Now, and it's disseminating racist text messages that Black Americans will be tossed out of the country along with the immigrants, or since we have a choice, will be put back into slavery. If you are just tuning in, you are listening to Black Mental Health and Race. I am your host, MF Dub. What motherfucking dub? And my co-host is Dr. Moore. Welcome back to another podcast, my brother.
Yep.
I want to play our disclaimer and to give notice to our audience, our listening audience. We are always grateful and thankful that we have any listeners, and but we don't do this as a form of compensation. We don't ask for any money. We don't play any commercials. This is just a high vibrational conversation between two Black men. We try to keep it satirical and lighthearted, even though we discuss some very interesting and very serious topics. We are always thankful to a listening audience, and we hope you enjoy the show. Hold on 1 second, brother. Hold on, hold
on. Disclaimer. Warning, the content will examine phenomena that some would find offensive, inappropriate, insensitive and triggering. This content neither suggests, nor implies, medical, or any other professional advice. This is a light-hearted discussion of a comedian and his therapist friend engaged in hypothetical conversation on Black mental health and race. In no way are the following views and content associated, or affiliated, with this, or any other, platform that this podcast may be accessed. All information and opinion are independent expression of free speech that a reasonable person may freely consider adapting or opposing in their own paradigm.
Peace to the God.
Yes, sir. We are back. Welcome back, Dr. Moore.
Yep.
Any first reactions going straight to this election talk? As we now know that Donald Trump is president-elect again. Um, he has won the election, U.S. election, and will be back in office January 20th, I believe, is the date of inauguration. Your thoughts, Dr. Moore?
Uh, it's a sad day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's
I,
a
I
it,
can't help but think of a fitting punishment because I warned you that they would figure out a way for him not to only not go to jail on these 37 convictions, but he would pull his own trump card and make it all go away. Isn't that ironic, brother?
I don't see it like that.
Hmm.
Um, I see it very different. I don't look at it as they figured out a way to do anything. I think I look at the country, and I don't know that I think that Donald Trump is being Donald Trump, but I think that it speaks volumes to um, the country and the people in this country, and that's why I think I've been so frustrated and adamant with you about saying black people should just get together. Black people need to unite. It's frustrating to have that thought process when um, black folks are so divided,
Hmm.
and you have black folks that really support this um, Trump ideology, and then you
Hmm.
have black folks that don't, right? And so it's not like I see Trump as all um, uh,
Menacing.
well, like the end all to be all. It's not like I see him
Right.
as having this hidden superpower. I think that the people are and I don't think that they're hidden, but I think they're the superpower. And I think their ignorance is a superpower. So, there are people when I looked at the data,
Hmm.
you had, of course, white men overwhelmingly voted for Trump, which makes sense. But then you had white women that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. And I thought was really interesting because in the first administration, you had all these women that took to the streets, wearing these pink pussy hats and all this other stuff,
Hmm.
um, and were really on the fringe of Donald Trump being president. And then after him being president and him appointing these Supreme Court justices that stripped them of their own maternal
Hmm.
rights and on their own personal women's rights, um, that overwhelmingly voted for that.
Hmm.
And it's like they voted against their very own interest.
Right.
So I don't see this as um, like some hidden hand, secret government, pulling strings. That's not how I see that. I see that as, to me. I mean, you know, we've been taught that there's no mystery God, so I don't see any mystery in this. It's not mystical to me. It's very transparent. It's very obvious. I talked with some black people, um, rich and poor, that voted for Trump, men and women. And I'm talking about black people. I mean,
Hmm.
and I've heard people say things like, "Well, I voted for Trump because a woman ain't supposed to be in that position." Right. And this is black people saying that, black
Yep.
men and women
Yep.
saying, um, you can't put a woman in that position. Women saying,
Imagine how they feel, black men and women feel about ourselves if
right,
we don't even think that a woman belongs in office.
right. But and so that speaks volumes to my point about the whole thought process of something is
Hmm.
going to happen to force black people to work together. That just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Everything goes against that ideology,
Right.
right? So it doesn't matter how bad it gets under Trump, right? And people feel like there were other people that felt like, I hope Trump wins so that black people can see that this guy
They better
isn't
stick
for them
together.
and black
Right.
people are gonna get together. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It doesn't matter. It's almost like, you know the slaves on the plantation, and one slave saying, you know, uh,
My master is better than your master.
or once other slaves see how bad he treated this one slave, that they're all gonna get together. No, It's never gonna. That never happened.
Mm.
That never happened. Right? There's always been that few that was like, nah, I ain't. No, I'm not going against massa. I'm not getting involved. That's always going to be the case. So, um, to me, it just spoke volumes. I heard other people say, black people say, I voted for Trump because I don't want to have to. I don't believe that I should have to call people about it by pronouns, right? I heard other people say, I voted for Trump because I don't want my daughter to be in competition or have to share a bathroom with a male child or be in sports with a male child that's not a female.
Mm.
So all of these
The ignorance
things,
was thick, brother.
right? So it's to me, it's not some mystical, you know, white folks pulling some secret
White power.
lever, right, to put Trump in office. No, we did that. We did
And
that.
that's why the title of tonight's show is uh, Election Woes for Us, by Us, taking a page out of the FUBU acronym for of the black clothing store, FUBU, or black clothing line. But these election woes, at least for in terms of black people, since this is about black mental health and race, is about the things that we do to ourselves, voting against our own self-interest, and the elation and happiness of black people that Kamala has lost because she's not black and she's not this and she's not that is disturbing. It's disheartening. But this is what we call for in the majority of black people, and this is what you got
Well, no,
for
I
us
wouldn't.
by us.
I wouldn't. I'm definitely not going to say the majority of black folks. Black folks overwhelmingly didn't vote for Trump. Black men and women overwhelmingly didn't vote for Trump.
Hmm.
Um, so um, we had a few black folks that did, um, but overwhelmingly black folks didn't. Well, across the board, I don't care where we were. Based on the data, um, black folks did not come out and support Trump. There were a few that did, but they were in the minority.
Right,
And even and in the states where Kamala was supposed to win, she did win.
right.
In states like D.C., Maryland,
Hmm.
even Virginia, you know, um, Connecticut, all those different places where she was supposed to win, she did win. She didn't win any of those swing states. Um, and I just feel like when I looked at the numbers, the data in terms of white women that voted for Trump, I just got the impression, well, not the impression, um, it racism, misogyny, sexism, all that stuff is still the core of this country. And I just believe that white women thought to themselves, there's no way that there could be a black female president before there's a white female president. I
Mm.
think had Hillary won, it would have been different.
It would have been a much easier path
Right.
to
But
victory.
but to black woman to be the first female president over a white woman,
Hmm.
I think it was
Not
too
in America.
no, I thought it was too much. And I take my hat off to the sister. I think she did
A
uh,
phenomenal job. Phenomenal.
a phenomenal, incredible job in the amount of time that she had. I mean, she mounted up. she had, I don't even know if she had 100 plus 200 days to pull off what she pulled off.
Hmm.
She did a phenomenal job, incredible, immaculate um,
Amen.
job at what she did. And I take my hat off to her. I take my hat off to the brothers and the sisters that got behind and supported her in her election run. But I mean, I ran into some people, man, that I was very surprised at their mentality about
Hmm.
her, and her being president.
Yep.
You
Some of your
know,
own best friends.
you know, it, I mean, I'm talking about against a guy who took out ads um, for the death penalty of young black and brown kids, you know, who weren't even adults, who didn't have their parents in the room, and wanted these kids to have the death penalty, and never apologized for that.
Never.
And so I mean, calling African nations shithole countries,
Hmm.
you know,
Got on
um,
the Latinos too.
talking about Haitians eating, you know, dogs and cats, you know, and
Puerto
yeah, and
Rico is a floating island of garbage.
right, and Latinos, and that's another thing. Latinos, I mean,
Voted against their own
they
self-interest.
voted overwhelmingly for this guy. So what is that saying? Oh man, let me think. What is that saying? Oh, I can't think of it right now. Save my life. Um, but it had everything to do with um, you gonna reap what you sow.
Hmm.
So
Yes, sir.
he, Trump has already promised that in his first days of
Massive immigration
mass,
haul.
mass overhaul, mass overhaul of immigration, and when they see their relatives being shipped back
Hmm.
to these countries that they have risked their lives to come to this country, I don't want to hear one word.
One
When
one woe.
when they
One
get when they
one
get
lamentation of their women.
when ICE starts to burst
Hmm.
into their house, take
Hmm.
take them, put them in cages. I don't, man. Look, let me tell
You don't want to hear it.
that's it. Not one word.
So I heard the justification for Latinos voting for him, which made absolutely no sense. Um, they said that some of them come from regimes in other countries where they refugeed from, like Argentina, Colombia, and places of this ilk. Um, so to them, Donald Trump is like Pinocchio or Goofy. He's light compared to what they went through in their country. So they still voted for him. But I think that's a stupid argument. It makes no logical sense that he's a lighter version of a Hitler or a lighter version of a um what's that Pablo Escobar. He's not that bad. But this not that bad person is about to throw all you Latino niggas out of this country. The one that you and your relatives voted for. Congratulations. Election woes for us by us, brother. That's what we're dealing with. Um, there's a couple of facts that I want to get into about the new president-elect. Uh, One of them being that he is the old president-elect, and nothing seems to change. But before I do that, brother, every time that we come on the show, we pay a little homage tribute to the people that passed away. At a memorable note, um, one of them being Quincy Jones, died at the age of 91. He made his own fame, and then his daughter, Kadada Jones, was infamous for a relationship with Tupac Shakur, who was killed mysteriously over 27 years ago. We still have not found out who or why. Um, but flowers to the legendary producer Quincy Jones. Rest in power. My uncle passed away October 5th, brother.
Sorry to hear
Um,
that.
yeah. For some reason, I wasn't sad. I shed a little tear at the actual burial and interment. And but other than that, I think he lived to be 89 years old.
Which uncle was this?
This is my Aunt Bessie's husband. So he was married into our family rather than being a blood uncle, blood relative. And
Was
I
he
promised myself when my Aunt Bessie passed away that I wouldn't just be estranged to him because I didn't know him like that. I would try to go once a week and go see him and check on him. And so I did that for the last 5 years consistently. And we grew close. And I got to see the person who he was because he never really spoke when my Aunt Bessie was alive. We just knew that this was her husband. But I really got to know him, and I actually appreciated him. For an older gentleman, he really didn't have any worries or cares, or didn't like people doting over him just because he was old. So he stayed and lived by himself the remainder of the time after my aunt passed, and I was glad to have the experience with him. So I wasn't sad when he passed away. I don't know if it was because there was a distance between how far or how close he was in terms of being an actual relative, but it was amazing. He died on his birthday. He 10/5, October 5th, 89 years old. And he said he just wanted to make it to his birthday, and he did. And so kudos to him. I don't know if you know Frankie Beverly from Beverly and Mays,
yeah,
Joy and Pain. Well,
yeah, bro.
he
He came
passed
in.
away in September, and
Yeah,
I
I
forgot to
bro,
mention it.
I did his last show here in DC.
Wow, get out of here.
Yeah,
That was a brother that was brilliant, talented, and it looked like he never had a care in the world.
yeah, yeah. He did a last tour. He called it his last tour.
Mm,
And in his last tour, he one of his stops were here in DC. And so
wow.
we went to go see him in his last tour. And it was
Mm,
absolutely phenomenal.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
A great entertainer.
yeah, yeah.
Great entertainer. Um, have you ever heard of Tyka Nelson
I don't think so.
of the famed Prince Rogers Nelson? This would be his sister, died at the age of 52. Rest in power. We just learned of this morning. It was rumored that she passed away yesterday, and nobody could believe it. She was born May 18th, 1960. Died at the age of 61. Too
Mm.
young. She was a musician in her own right. She passed away.
Mm.
Oh, 64, not 61. Rest in power to Tyka Nelson. Wow. Um, Anybody else you want to mention in an honorable way, Dr. Moore? Before we continue on to the um, dishonorable um, acknowledgement of how racist this country continues to be. It's a perpetual um, state of racism, a state of superiority and privilege. I had done well, let me let you interject for a second, even if you don't have anything to say. Just don't want to out-talk you, brother.
Mm. About what?
Anything that I just mentioned, or we can continue with President-elect Donald Trump.
Hmm. No, we were just talking about deaths.
Yeah,
Um, so no, I don't have anything to um interject about that. Just rest in power to all those beautiful souls.
yes, sir.
But yeah, we can continue with you know our regular scheduled business.
Patriotism. Patriotism is cloaked in America as racism. To me, I think that people take for granted that Black people have their own experience in America. And while we still seem to have to be confrontational and challenge people who thinks that America is great, or at least its history of greatness is their legacy, we have to constantly remind them that, hey, you weren't the only inhabitants of America, and your greatness was at the expense of our liberties and our life. Black lives matter. Black lives that matter. It was interesting to note that you ever heard of Tornado Valley?
Mm-mm.
This is the place in Middle America prone to tornadoes. As the Book of Supreme Wisdom asks the question, who makes earthquakes, snow, hail, and rain? Some of you won't be familiar with the question, but it's a rhetorical question. Um, there are some Black people among us that believe that the weather is controlled by the God of the universe, and that things like tornadoes, hurricanes, snow, earthquake, and hail are going to destroy America before we destroy ourselves from within. Whatever the premise is behind that, the science behind it is that, do you know that the United States is the only geographical location besides Canada and Bangladesh that do experience tornadoes on the whole planet Earth? Are you aware of that, Dr. Moore?
I am not.
Interesting fact that I looked up and found. America has over 1,000 tornadoes per year, and they're precipitated or they're started by thunderstorms. and the thunderstorms mix with hot and cold winds, and that's what makes them spiral into these enormous and destructive tornadoes. They start from lightning storms. I didn't even know that. But the unique reason for this geographical location being prone to hurricanes and nowhere else on the planet Earth, the whole 57,255,000,000 square miles, brother, from the Book of Supreme Wisdom, is that because of Middle America, the same places where you see all of these electoral states that voted for Trump are flatlands. And it's this flat land that they call Hurricane Valley, or not Hurricane, Tornado Valley, where they're prone to tornadoes. And I was just interested in this scientific explanation for tornadoes because I'm very skeptical of belief in anything spooky or anything that a all-powerful and wonderful God is going to get us out of the situation that we're in. So no need to worry. I think that we should worry and we should panic, but we got to keep a cool head even in situations like this. So places like from Texas all the way up to North Dakota and Montana and all places in between, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, all of these places are prone for tornadoes for whatever reason. But these are the very states which Trump overwhelmingly kicked ass this presidential election 2024. He beat Kamala Harris by 226 to 301. He had 301 electoral votes to become the next president of the United States. A
Bro,
feat that
bro.
only, go ahead,
No, finish your statement.
a feat that only one other president in history has done to become the president of the United States and then to lose an election and come back after the loss of a presidential election just to regain the presidency. The only other president to do that, since I like actual facts, was Cleveland uh, Wilson. I gotta make sure I got the name right, but Grover Cleveland, not Cleveland Wilson. Grover Cleveland and Donald Trump, both unique in American history for pursuing a non-consecutive term, share some intriguing similarities and notable differences. They were both um, alleged to be in sexual misconduct. President Grover Cleveland and President Donald Trump. And they have faced multiple accusations of wrongdoing. And they became president, ironically, brother, at a time when the country was divided along the lines of black and white, rich and poor, etc., etc., etc. But let me let you interject, brother. Go right ahead.
No, I was just listening and thinking as you were naming those states, and I was thinking in my head, what's the population of black folks in those states?
Very little.
Right. And so it makes, I mean, it's not surprising that he would win that. I mean,
Right.
you know, God
Yes, sir.
forbid, you know, um, that those states would vote for a black woman over an old white man. I mean, it's
Not
just
surprised.
right. That's so it's not. That doesn't sound special to me at all. Um, I mean, you got people that rarely see black folks. God forbid a black woman. They probably thought it was funny that a black woman was even trying to run against an old white man,
Hmm.
in their state, and to think that they would vote for her is ridiculous.
Exactly. So, in summary, Cleveland and Trump both faced pub- publicized personal controversies and pursued non-consecutive terms. Yet their political landscapes, media environments, and public personas were shaped by vastly different factors. Cleveland's reputation as a reformer and Trump's populist approach highlight how historical and social contexts influence presidential legacies. Um, so Trump has this saying that he's popularized, "Let's make America great again," which in context is about history. And that history, to me, in my opinion, is about sentiment. And why I like to discover different facts, and which is the only reason I brought up President Cleveland, Gro- Grover Cleveland, was the fact that if we are to move forward, if we are to unite as Black people, and even if we don't, the people with the most logic are in the future going to be in control of not only the United States, but of the global population. And if we're not in a right state of mind, we stop believing in spooky and hopefulness, keep hope alive, and start dealing with actual facts, we're going to be lost. And that's just not for Black people. That goes for you Latinos. That goes for you white women. You are another minority, and you still vote against your own self interest. And you still take to people who disguise their racism as patriotism. Now, how about that, brother? For an opening of Black mental health and race tonight.
I don't think that you move the needle at all with them.
They still don't get it. Huh? Just don't get it, do you?
Well, I don't know that they have to. Um, I mean, because I mean,
If they want to have control of their own destiny, they better get it.
no, I don't think so, bro. I
They're gonna still keep praying.
well, I mean, why not? I mean, that's like
It's
saying to
been
the,
working for them before, huh?
well, I don't know if it's working or not working, but right. But I mean, it's like saying to the Christians, um, well, how has Jesus worked for you for the
How's
last,
that working out for you?
200 years? You know, Black folks are still gonna pray. Black folks are still gonna believe, and so be it. I mean, the reality is, man, people are not that intelligent. People it's the 85%. They're easily led in the wrong direction.
They're
Hard
like
people,
the
but
sheep, the lost sheep,
yeah,
which is why I keep referring to the book of supreme wisdom. It has its own allegories, and the Bible does too, if you know how to read it like a scientist rather than a parishioner or a follower. All of these religious texts have clues in them on self autonomy, self respect, self improvement. But you have to know how to mine those gems out of the planet Earth.
yeah. Good luck with that, bro.
I did hear you say um, something to the effect of we might be kind of limited if we don't stick together. Is that right, brother?
What do you mean?
Um, just on the fact of this election, it should be like a wake up call. I think you were suggesting it should be a wake up call for us to stick together.
No, I think it's limiting in the sense that I don't think that black folks are ever going to wake up. I don't think that all black folks are ever going to wake up. I don't think that um, anything is ever going to happen to ever make all black folks get on the same page.
Mm.
So limiting in that sense that yeah, I mean, yeah, we are limited in that um, we're never going to see the big picture as a whole.
Mm. Yes, sir. Well, hopefully we'll get out of the mentality. If you do want to be a better black person, let me suggest something to you that you stop glorifying um, history and sentiment of America being this great place. And you stop believing that your patriotism makes you loyal to the country that have for centuries, 400 years, and to be exact or approximate, is ever going to change. There will be improvements, just like there'll be self improvements. But your body, according to the laws of entropy, is just like entropy meaning the process of things getting worse over time. So if you throw an egg on the floor and it cracks, entropy means that you can't uncrack the egg. You can't reverse time. And time has dictated to us as Black people, as Latinos, as Native Americans, with the 2 million Indians, makes it 19 million all over the planet Earth. All of these people, including white women, have been marginalized under a system of white supremacy. That's not being woke, that's being logical. History has shown you who they are. I forgot the Coach Green, that says, we expose them for who they are. We just let them off the hook in the NFL. I forget his name. But once again, this Tornado Valley shows you exactly who Americans are. No matter what Candace Owen tries to paint a picture of rose-colored glasses for you, it's not going to change unless you get up and make it change. Once again, I congratulate Kamala Harris in an honorable loss for the presidency of the United States, but well done, faithful servant. I think you're black. I don't give a damn. I told my friend the other day, if you saw Kamala Harris walking down the street, what would you think that she is? Would you think that she's Indian? And the answer had to be no. But yet, our own people for us, by us, election woes people were going around a small minority of us was saying that she's not even black. How could you uh, contend to have supreme wisdom and you got knowledge and say that this woman is not black? She looks more black than a lot of people. My sister is the product of a white grandfather. I am too. My father was the product of an interracial mixing. It wouldn't be a marriage because the white man that impregnated my grandmother on my father's side left. It was a shame for him to even impregnate a black woman in Barbados. So I am the product of whiteness, but I cannot ignore all of the disparities, all of the injustices, all of the inequalities that black people face and say that there's no racism in this country. The very votes that you see, the very people who win elections is based upon the very thing that you try to deny. You even try to deny that you're black. I'm talking to some of the people in the audience, but sometimes we're preaching to the choir, brother.
Yeah. Um, I don't know who you may have been having that conversation with about whether or not Kamala is black or white. I don't know that it. I don't know that it
The
a black or
barbershop talk.
well, not necessarily black or white, but black or Indian or whatever. Um, I don't know that it really mattered. Even if she was a black person, would that have made a difference in terms of them supporting her? Right. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know what they're looking to validate or not validate by saying that, you know, well, she isn't really black. So if she was really black in their eyes, would they still have supported her, or would they have not?
No.
Right. So I mean, I think that's a futile argument, in terms of whether or not Kamala's black, whether or not she's black enough, or whether or not she's Indian. You know, at the end of the day, what would it take for that person to support her?
Hmm.
Or are they just trying to stimulate their own? Um, are they trying to stimulate their own self by thinking that they're making a legitimate conversation or argument? Well, she ain't really black.
I think they like to hear themselves talk, brother.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Because at the end of the day, um, whether she looks black or is black or Indian, or because at the end of the day, if you are somebody of color, that's I mean, we
You're of color because
right,
you're most likely been raped by one of these damn.
right, right, right. I mean, and you talking about here's a sister that
You are a product of rape. You
right,
damn fool. And what's the other one? You're a product of hostage takeover. You damn fool.
mhm, yeah. So I mean, again, bro, um I feel like at the end of the day, it speaks volumes to. I mean, you and I had a real knockdown, um, back and forth
Yes,
about
sir.
Trump and about Trump becoming president, and about whether or not it really matters, um, for Black folks, if he becomes president or not. And I think that it like I said then, like I'm gonna say again, it's so much matters.
Hmm.
It's so much matters that if Kamala, in my opinion, had won as opposed to Trump. And it matters in terms of you broke the key again?
Huh?
Oh, is your car starting? Yeah, well, I'll take a look at it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I got distracted on my son walking in. Hello? 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 Robert Douglas. Hello? Hello? Testing, testing. Well, this thing broke. That's why. Testing, 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 testing. Well, I'm the only one on. He's on.
Try to unmute your mic if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Either
What?
I pressed the button or they must have zapped my channel, brother. I may have been talking too many actual facts for them. But I was saying the states that Hillary Clinton won in 2016. So Donald Trump, my point being, beat two women, but he couldn't beat a man. This reminds me of those men out there that will beat a woman down. And we have to talk about Diddy for a minute as well, but would never get into a fight with a man, or they couldn't win a fight with a man. But they're very notoriously known for beating up women. Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, Washington, D.C. For Kamala Harris, the states that she won in 2024 were California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, Washington, D.C. Similar. If you want to know the states that are still very racist, I'm going to read them to you now. These are the states that Trump won in both elections: Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Washington, I mean, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. These are the states right in that tornado alley. And if you are a white woman, a black person, a Latino person in them states, God be with you.
Mm.
Because this is the heartland of racism disguised as patriotism. Let's make America great again. How great will you make it? The 1960s marked the beginning of civil rights. That's still not even 100 years away. Slavery ended 1863 by
18,
Emancipation Proclamation.
1865 in some of
Right.
southern states.
Because some didn't even know they were free.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. My God. I mean, how much do we have to teach you to learn history instead of falling in love with history? These people that voted for Trump have fallen in love with history rather than learning history. History says that we had to correct a lot of the wrongdoing, one of them being slavery, one of them being misogyny towards women. Women didn't get the right to vote until 1930. I'm talking about white women in the United States of America. How?
I thought it was 1919.
Um, I'll have to double check that fact and put it in.
I think that was is it the 19th Amendment? That
Hmm.
is it the 18th or 19th Amendment that women got the right to vote?
I'll double check it now. Um, my sister apprised me of something that I didn't even realize. When did women get the right to vote in America?
I think it was the 19th Amendment.
Yeah, so my sister said that, did you know that women couldn't get a bank account in America until 1970?
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
could.
know that shit.
Yeah, they
And you
couldn't.
are correct, Dr. Moore. It is the 19th Amendment states the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. That gave white women the right to vote.
Mhm.
Very
Mhm.
good, Dr. Moore. We need to understand history, the facts of history, and not the sentiment of history. Because the sentiment says, wow, we did all of these accomplishments in America. This got to be a great country. But it was started or commenced in a lot of criminality that cannot be denied unless you are part of the offspring of the criminals. But I digress, brother. We got to talk about Sean Diddy Combs before we go, and then we'll come right back to um, Donald Trump and parting. Um, I just I remember when Yusef Hawkins died and Dr. Barbara Justice was on the radio, and she had to give us a wake up call as Black people that this would happen again. For instance, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, Philando Castile. This will continue to happen. As Bob Marley's song said, many more will have to suffer. Many more will have to pass. Don't ask me why. It's a natural mystic. All of these things are happening not by happenstance. There is a system in place that allows them to happen. I think Donald Trump's one of the first order of business, besides throwing immigrants out of the country, is he wants to give automatic immunity to police if they kill anybody in the line of duty, accident or not, that they won't even be prosecuted.
I wonder if that is going to apply if someone shoots him.
You have a dry sense of humor, brother. I enjoy it. I think that went over a lot of people's heads because they still sleep. Not that woke is going to get you out of any trouble that we are in as a people or as a nation, but you better be sharp enough to understand uh, satire, political satire that, um, yes, sir, brother. So, quickly on Diddy, uh, have you heard any of the latest updates?
No, I did read or hear something about his legal team um creating some new terms for bond for him getting out.
Mm,
Um and some of them being him not having access to telephone, internet, or anything like that.
mm.
So
He just got denied a gag order on the people that are accusing him of sexual assault in these individual civil lawsuits. He his attorney tried to put a gag order on people with their sexual assault stories, and it was denied by the judge. I don't know who his legal team is. I understand the names, but I worked for law firms for over 30 years, brother. These lawyers that I work for will eat you for lunch, spit you out for dinner. I don't know who these people are, but if my law firm was handling Diddy's case, he would have already been out. But some black people are under the impression that Trump is going to pardon him, no matter what he
I don't doubt that. Um, I, re- I, re-
Birds of a feather flock together.
well, I just believe that under the circumstances that Diddy is in,
Hmm.
um, for Trump to pardon him, I think that that will go, at least in Trump's eyes, that will go a long way with black folks.
Hmm.
And
Oh, they
and,
would
and,
be ready to perform um, sloppy toppy on the president if he does that.
man, let me tell you. Um, and then there was would be some people that there would be some backlash against it. But
The majority of them, he's one of us.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's like us.
yeah, yeah. Diddy and Kanye would become best friends.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The power of historical patterns in American elections. Oh, like we were still on Diddy. Let me stay on Diddy for 1 second. Um, the other thing that I found out is that this Kim Porter book is on audio. I don't know if it's on audible.com, but last night I spent the whole night, and you've been warning me, Dr. Moore, and I need to take heed. Um, you got too much time on your hands, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But I listened to that whole Audible book about Diddy and Kim Porter. And let me tell
Based
you,
on
brother,
based on who wrote the book?
they say, which is why Diddy's back in the news, this guy, Courtney Burgess, says that this book was handed to him by the boyfriend of the best friend of Kim Porter.
Throw that book
Stop,
in the trash.
stop it, bro. Stop
Yeah,
looking, bro.
throw that shit. Throw that book in the trash, bro.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, throw that book in the trash, bro.
That's not Islam, brother. But I
No.
tell you what, brother, if any of the things that are said in that book are true, my God, why has thou forsaken me? I keep telling black people, you have to have people around you that are gonna keep you out of situations. If my boy is doing something stupid, I'm gonna step in and try and stop him because I don't want to see my boy in jail. But people don't understand that type of loyalty. They like, he's a grown ass man, let him do what he wants. Nah, because tomorrow he's going to regret when that damn gate slams on you in prison. You are going to regret everything that you did or have been alleged to have done. Where were the people around Diddy to say, bruh, this shit gotta stop?
Well, why would they
Diddy
say this
make
shit?
it? Go ahead.
Why would they say this shit got to stop if they're participating? Hypothetically,
Very good question, brother.
it's like
Your dry humor works once again. we, we
I
got
don't
all
know.
these hoes.
I don't know if you ever been to a swingers club, right? But
I have heard about him,
okay,
but I never went.
okay.
I was
So
invited to several.
I'm sure I know that you have.
I
I know that
want
you
to
have.
rock. I want to rock.
Yeah, being that you were in the first generation of what's that? What's meet and greets or social? What's, I don't know how you describe it, but social hookups or what do you call those things? Social dating sites. You the first person
It
I've ever
wasn't social dating. It was message
black.
boards.
Well, you call it what
But
you want. Black
but
Planet.
those didn't start off as sexual meetups. A lot of them ended up that way, but you know the nature of people. That's why I keep telling people sex is an opportunity. It's not a gender. It's not a sexual orientation. It's not even a social construct. It is an opportunity. The chemicals in your body say that if you can fuck somebody and get away with it, you are going to do it. That's what the chemicals say, not your sentiment or not your heart. Your heart may say, don't do that. But most times, your sentiment is going to win over the actual thing that you should not be doing. Your morals are not going to play a part. Your chemicals are. Now, how about that, brother?
I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
It
Uh,
shouldn't,
because
unless you
and
got supreme wisdom.
well, and the reason why I'm saying I don't know how much sense it makes at all. It could make sense without alcohol,
Hmm,
or anything that's going to impede your normal
hmm,
um of functioning.
hmm.
But I don't know that anybody is functioning in those situations without that.
Right. In
So
fact, alcohol is one of the, and the use of drugs is one of the ways. to try to allay or mitigate, which means to lessen the pain that you're actually in reality. And I think what happened in Diddy's case was a lot of sexual pain, not physical pain, but trauma. A lot of sexual trauma happened in his life. And now, instead of being the victim of it, he's empowered himself to be the perpetrator of it. If these allegations are true, it's a sad situation because I think he's an entrepreneurial genius and probably a crook, allegedly. And
Entrepreneur genius. I mean, you could be more than one thing at a time,
this is true,
right? So he
which
could
is
be
what
an
we could
entrepreneur,
say about Trump.
right? So he could be an entrepreneur genius, but doesn't take away from him being a pervert
Hmm.
or a freak or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so um, and again, I don't know whether he's innocent or guilty, but what I do know is that with money, you are going to do one or two things. You're going to be more of who you are as opposed to what you're not,
Hmm.
right? So if you have money and you are, philanthropic, then you just gonna be more philanthropic. But if you got money and you're an asshole,
And
you just
you
gonna be
said,
more of
freak,
an asshole. Yeah,
you're gonna be more of a freak.
yeah.
Brother, I tell you, this is a hard world, and you better get yourself together, people, because you can be easily tempted down the wrong road if you're not together. I think that was one of the good things about the mosque. Um, Even when I had proclivities to do something illegal, it was always a message in the back of my head. Better not do that, brother. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You better sit your black ass down. But you need someone, if you want to find a true friend in life. I'll let Dr. Moore speak to it independently. But for me, in my opinion, it's the person that keeps you out of trouble. I remember having strippers, and my ex-wife said to me, "Brother, you better cut out what you're doing."
Having strippers where?
I was taking strippers on buses. Ironically, my company was called Bad Boys Entertainment. And I told you I got contacted by somebody from Diddy office saying that I couldn't use it. This is right when they had just came out. But I was using Bad Boy Entertainment a long time ago. But we would rent buses to go to Atlantic City with strippers on the bus. My ex-wife told me to cut that out. I had somebody in my corner that said, "Hey, you may make money off it." And I didn't make any money off it because I was too nice. But because I would pay the strippers up front. But it was not necessarily an illegal activity, but it was an immoral one. And I had to learn that if I didn't have the right people in my corner, I would have still been doing that business to this day.
That don't sound like he was doing no business. That sounded like he was doing some giveaways.
I was tricking. Once again, Dr. Moore's dry humor comes right on time.
Well, I don't know if it's dry humor.
Somehow that is correct, brother.
I,
I was tricking.
yeah, I, I don't know if that's dry. I'm doing dry humor. I'm listening to
And
what
you
you're
the
saying,
damn fool, brother.
right? And I'm just looking at it from the way that you're describing it and the way that I'm seeing it. You know, it's just this is two different realities. It's like, brother,
The
that
pimp
was not a
make money, not gives it away.
that was not a business, bro.
It was definitely not the pimp game.
No, bro. No, you were not working. You were getting work.
Hmm. So some things start off honestly, but they will spiral out of control. This is the it's not even a theory. This is the law of entropy. Things have to get age. That's why death is something that none of us can escape, no matter how much wisdom we have. Things have to get older and things have to move on. I believe one day America is going to change, but that change don't necessarily have to be improvement. In fact, science tells us better than history, but history tells us too, if we know what to look for, that things are going to get worse. Woe unto thee, America, for us by us. The election woes of 2024. I wrote down something, brother, to call the title of tonight's episode. Let me see if I can find it right quick while you give us some parting words.
Well, I don't
Take us
know.
home, brother.
You said something earlier about um I don't know, kind of like maybe people's perception about this country being the greatest country and this not being the greatest country. Um, I think that's for me. I think that's perspective. Um, with all the ills of this country, um, I think it's still relative of whether or not you think it's the best country in the world, the worst country in the world. It just I think it depends on where you are.
Hmm.
In this country. Um,
Yes, sir.
and depending on depending on how much travel you have done to other countries.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if you've been to like um,
I
Ghana.
have been out of the wilderness of North America, brother.
Okay, because if
Not
you
even
go,
to the islands.
okay, because if you go to the DR or you go to Jamaica or you go to Ghana and countries like that, I mean, the poorest of the poor in this country ain't poor compared to the poor in those countries. I mean, you can go to Southeast DC and compare it to every other borough, you know, Southeast might look the worst depending on what part of Southeast that you're in. But you go to Ghana, you go to the DR, you go to Jamaica, you go to certain countries, certain islands. Their level of poverty is, I mean, you could almost live in the hood here and be almost rich going to one of those countries.
Hmm. And live like
Uh,
a king.
yeah, yeah. So
That's how great or vast America is. We hold sway and influence all over the planet Earth.
yeah,
So, like you said, it is about perspective.
mhm,
And even on an individual level, you don't have to suffer from the ills of racism as much, to some extent, or to a lesser degree, if You have some type of knowledge that allows you to float instead of drown. We are drowning in racism, but some people can swim.
Well, I don't know if it's about having some type of knowledge. I think it's what you do with it, right? Because
That is correct, sir.
you know, having you can't really say you have knowledge if you don't do anything with it. If there's
Hmm.
no manifestation of the knowledge that you say you have,
Hmm.
it's almost contradictory.
Hmm. Which is why I got to get myself together. Part of these lectures, brother, is me preaching to myself.
Okay. So then we should
Find
have some we should
right.
have some we should have some level of accountability.
Hmm.
So um
That is what your brother is for.
right,
And that's why I appreciate you, brother.
right. So
You're saying to me, with all of this knowledge, you should have something on this earth for your own.
absolutely. You know that you know here's the thing that I believe. Um you know, coming from the Quran or the Hadith. No, it's definitely the Hadith. But
Yes, sir.
you know, there's a conversation that's been had with God, you know, in the afterlife, and the person is saying to Allah, um, "Well, I wasn't able to do this because of this. I wasn't able to do
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z because of that." And Allah says, "Did not make my earth spacious enough?"
Hmm.
Right? So, I, you know, so with that, you know, I mean, I kind of ride and live with that in that, you know, you know, I don't care if you leave America or wherever you're gonna go, whatever it is you're gonna do, you know, Allah created all of this for you, right? And so at the end of the day, it's about what you did with what Allah gave you. So if you say,
Exactly.
well, you know, and it's not about whether or not you went to college or whether or not you did X, Y, and Z, because people did go and people didn't go, but some people still made the best of their situation based on what Allah gave them, and that
Hmm.
was the same 24 hours that He gave Master P, that He gave Beyonce, that He gave Puffy, that He gave Jay Z,
Hmm.
you know, that He gave Oprah, you know, that He gave Obama. You know, it's the same 24 hours in a day. What are you doing with the 24 hours that you have?
Hmm.
So if people, even with me, as much as people may, you know, will say, well, that nigga changed, that nigga different. He this, you know, this is what I chose to do with my 24 hours. You know, so if your argument or your best argument is, well, that, you know, he different now. Well, nigga, I got 24 hours in a day. I'm supposed to be different. You know, that means if I ain't different, I ain't did shit with the last 24 hours that I had. God
Hmm.
forbid the last 365.
Exactly.
You know, I was having a conversation with my daughter the other day.
Hmm.
I picked her up from work, and she
Hmm.
was saying that I just want to quit. And I
Wow.
said, well, you know, Corey, I don't think that I would be doing you um a service if I told you, yeah, you could just quit. I said, because if I do that, what you don't understand at 17 is unconsciously you start to build a pattern in your head of every time something seems challenging, it's okay to quit. And so what you don't know right now at 17, if you quit, if I allow you to quit, you don't know at 20 and 25, you've already created a pattern of quitting.
Hmm.
So at 20, at 21, at 25, because you were so used to things being challenging and you quitting, you don't know that that pattern is there because you didn't do it intentionally or consciously, but
And
it's
so
there
you don't
because you
even see it.
created it. Right. And
Hmm.
so what I'm telling you right now is I'm not going to allow you to quit. What I'm telling you right now
Or
is that whatever challenges you're facing, I'm telling you to meet it head on.
hmm,
Because what you don't know is it's going to make you stronger
hmm,
and better because you're facing it now than running from it. Because running from it won't save you. And I'm telling you, bro Douglas, she did not want to hear that.
hmm,
She wanted to quit,
hmm,
but my answer to her was no.
hmm.
Because what I said to her is the world don't owe you anything, and the world is not
That's
going
right.
to be nice to you. I said,
Hmm,
so what you are facing right now at 17, working a job, being a high school senior, what you're facing right now is reality. That's going to
hmm,
be life.
hmm.
Now, what I could do as dad is try to protect you and tell you,
Right.
oh, yeah, just quit. I got you. But I wouldn't be doing you a favor as dad. I would be doing you a disservice because I,
Hmm.
I wouldn't be making you stronger. I would be making you weaker. And when dad ain't here, what do?
Right.
So I'm telling you now, woman up, deal with it. And I said, but not only am I telling you to woman up, but what I am also telling you is stop giving power and dominion
Hmm.
to people over you.
Hmm.
I said, you got, I said, Karan, you got 24 hours in a day. How many hours are you spending here?
Hmm.
So if you're only spending 45 hours here,
Hmm.
why are you allowing that to impact you for the other 20 some hours that you have out of your day?
Right.
Don't do that.
You got to learn to compartmentalize.
And not only you have to know how to compartmentalize, but you have to also learn how to not give power to people and dominion to people over your life.
Hmm.
Don't tell me that this person made you do X, Y, and Z, right? Because
Hmm.
when you tell me that this person made you do X, Y, and Z, you're telling me that this person has control over you. And if
Right.
this person has control over you, what you're telling me is that this is the highest power of slavery and that you're conceding to it.
Hmm. Exactly.
Hold on one second, brother. I don't know if I can put you on speakerphone with my son says he wanted to chime in on something.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if let's see if I can get him in. Oh, oh, all right. Well, let me see if I can get you in. Yeah, this is podcast. Bro, Doug, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Brother
go ahead, Khalid.
Khalid. Salam alaikum, brother.
I had a question just about the.
Can you come a little closer?
Um, I just had a quick question, but I was listening just a little bit,
Yes,
and
sir.
I was just a little curious in what you meant. You meant exactly by you have 45 hours. You spend 45 hours here, right?
24 hours.
24 hours in the house.
24 hours in a day.
Day. And it requires spends how many in the house or something like that?
45 hours at the
How
job.
many hours?
I was saying that she spends about 4 or 5 hours at the job.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So outside of the job, why is she still allowing what happened at the job to still affect the rest of the hours of her day?
So what? Yeah. So I was confused on that. Like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Meaning that, so you're 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
So, but you're spending 4 to 5 hours. Let's say you spend 6 hours at work. You still got like 18, 19 other hours.
Hmm.
So what I was saying to her is, why are you still allowing what happened at the job to affect the rest of the hours of your day?
Did like a incident happen per se?
Yeah, she was saying that, she was having some issues with someone at work. Someone made her upset. Someone made her feel a particular way. And I was saying, okay, that's fine. But what are you going to do with the rest of your hours of the day? And how much of that are you going to let affect the rest of your hours?
Hmm.
And so what I was saying is that at that point, you are now out of control because you're giving someone else control of the rest of your hours of the day.
Right. You're letting them rent space in your head.
Okay. Yeah, I was on. I was kind of curious about just that question in particular, or like, I was like, well, I mean, I was just a little curious in particular about the hours you meant in a day and how you spend it and stuff like that.
Yes, sir. Sometimes you have to put things that happen in one space away until the next day. You can deal with it the next day.
Or
Um,
you could just or you could just release it and let it
right.
go.
That is
During
correct.
that time. Because what I tell them, as a therapist, bro, I'm going from session to session. I can't take what just happened in 1 hour session to the next session.
Hmm.
Right.
Exactly. It
So
wouldn't be fair to your other
it
clients.
is, and it wouldn't be fair to me.
Hmm. To
So
do an
what
effective job.
right. So what happens in that one session, I gotta let that go. So when I go into the next session, I gotta be ready to, operate and function, not function off what just happened in the last session.
Hmm.
All right. All right, Clip. All right. Good night.
It's optimizing your time. Good to speak to you, brother Khalid.
Yeah. He said peace.
Peace. That's one of the young minds.
Yeah.
Always good to hear from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
brother, let me give you a summary of tonight's episode. What I wanted to call this episode was the nation caught between its past and its future. History versus change in American politics. Now, that was the dignified, um, lofty title that I had for tonight's episode. But I tell you, we don't take ourselves too serious here. At least I don't. I like to keep it a little satirical, um, in order to not let anyone take anything that they've heard as advice. The best advice you could give yourself is that little voice you hearing, not the one that tells you to do what Diddy did, but the one that tells you you better not do that. And if you don't have that inner voice, somebody should be on your side. You know your friends by the ones that prevent you from doing the things that Diddy did, and the ones that encourage it or participate in it with you. Those are not friends. Those are people that are enjoying the same shit that you enjoy. But at some point in life, as you mature, all of the things that you did wrong are going to be piled and pressed against you. This is the situation that our brother Diddy finds himself in. In terms of Trump, he wants to make America great again. But the America that was great for some, primarily and only white men of privilege, not even all white men got this privilege. That history is only available to a privileged few. Not even white men in society today are going to enjoy that privilege of greatness. They never have historically, and they never will in the future. The only thing that will make it to the future is if we correct history's past wrongs with logic. And so that was the nature of tonight's show. Whether it be your personal history, whether it be the history of this nation, take everything into context, and where they use history to justify some injustice, you use logic to correct it. And on that note, brother, I'll give you the last word.
All right. My last word is you said something about understanding friendship and
Mm,
knowing, um, who are your real friends, or um, being able to understand what's a good friend or a bad friend. And
Right.
I know you didn't use those words
Yeah,
verbatim,
that was pretty much it.
but so what I will say or add to that
Yes, sir.
is the best way to understand friendship and or to understand who is a friend and who is not is to first be your own best friend.
Hmm. Each, brother.
Right. And so when you become your own best friend, when you become your biggest advocate,
Hmm.
your biggest provider,
Hmm.
then that opens the door for you to see who is not a friend, who is not a fan, who is
Wow.
not a provider. But if you can't see that in yourself, you can't see that in someone else.
Hmm. That's deep, brother. That is the way to move forward.
Yeah,
Being your own best friend.
yeah. Because
Um, the
what
Quran calls it the self-accusing spirit. It's gonna correct you automatically. You know you shouldn't be doing that.
yeah. Because what I learned about myself in my young stage, in my younger stages of life, is that I had to be my biggest fan. I had to be my biggest provider.
Hmm.
And I had to believe in me more than anybody else believed in me.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you that that has been my source of grace, has been my source of power, is that I know and I believe in me more than anybody else has been. So it doesn't matter that someone else says, you can't do this, you can't do that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's mom or dad. It doesn't matter who it is that says, you can't do this, you shouldn't do that. But that I believe in me,
Hmm.
that I'm my biggest fan, that
Hmm.
I'm going to push me, that I believe in me. And what I'm saying is your power, your secret to success is you.
Hmm.
You have to understand that you're the secret, that you're the power, that you're the fan, that you're the friend that you're looking for.
Hmm.
Anything that you're looking for outside of that is where you're going to go wrong.
Hmm.
Your biggest friend in the world is you.
Changing your narrative.
And I close on that note.
Amen. Ashe, brother. Ashe. Okay, people. We've got a lot of people that want to get back to celebrating Trump being in office. We're going to allow you to do that now. What we had just given you a little earworm. Hopefully, it comes back to you when you're facing deportation, when you're facing incarceration, when you're facing a nation of racism disguised as patriotism. Maybe then you'll see that the history can't be great without logic. On that note, brother, assalamu alaikum.
To the God.
Peace to the universe. I'll call you right back.